Guys, we are going to show you where to fish at Big Bear Lake. A lot of people want to show you the how-tos and all that, but what's really important at Big Bear Lake is where. Where do you go fishing at Big Bear Lake? And the issue for a lot of people is access. Because as you probably have, if you've been there, then you would know a lot of the South Shore down here is private. And it's really tough access to get into this area here. There's a park right there that everybody sees, and that's a common place that people will see. And then also a lot of people will see this area here. But most of the South Shore, it seems, is off limits. So that's part of it, but we'll get to it. So if you're interested in where to fish Big Bear Lake, this is part of it. We'll do the hows and all of that later, but for now this will help you at least start out where to fish Big Bear Lake. So if you're approaching it from the 18, which is how most people do, they come up at 3:30, come into the 18. A lot of people know this spot, the dam right here. So if you switch it over here to satellite, give you a look here. Alright, so there's the dam. A lot of people will fish in here. Great place to fish. Right in this area here is the deepest part of the lake. It's only about 60 to 65 feet deep. I think at full pool it's like 71 feet right here at the dam, but I heard that silt has filled it up, so there's really not much depth there anymore. So you're only looking at like 60 feet, and for most lakes 60 feet is pretty shallow. So alright, so if you're gonna fish it, this side here, you could park right here. There's a parking lot. You could park right where those two cars are, right in here, and you probably won't get clipped. If you pull into here, you're gonna get blocked in by people, because this can get full of tourists, and they put in this barricade here. So I highly recommend parking at the end here and then walk down this steep trail. Now if you have problems hiking or going down steep trails, then don't fish here, but right in this area here, all along here is really good at times, including all the way over here. Now this guy here might yell at you. I fished here before and get kind of pissy because they have their boat dock here. But if you can get onto these rocks and cast out in here, this whole area is not too bad, not too shabby of a spot. But you can almost see where it's deepest. See this like dark area here? And it's a little lighter right in there, so they tend to hang out on this shelf at times right in here, and you can get some good action. But that's a good spot. There is no access here, so don't think you're going to fish along here at all. Now, the other spot, you can park here, which is usually full of 2 or 3 cars, and that's it. All along here is pretty good. Along this is all fishable. There's a small trail that runs along here when the water is low. When the water is real high, it's almost impossible to walk along that area. So I don't recommend doing that. I think it's best to park up here, and there's I think it's right here. Did I pass it? Yeah. So right in there, oops. Right in there, there's a little bathroom, and you can park along here and then walk down the trail. And then so all this is there. This is all considered the dam. When they refer to the dam, say the fish are biting at the dam, this is where they're talking about, is this pool area here between the buoy line and there. So moving on, this right here along the north shore, just to the left of the dam as you're going eastbound, this is what they call the Red House. That's the Red House. That's a very famous spot now because local fishing shops have advertised it as a good place for shore fishermen, and it is. So let's get to that. So you can park from about right here all the way down here. You can see all the cars. This must have been a weekend when they took this shot. You see all the cars there. Probably early morning on a weekend. So check that out. There's a lot of cars. You can park all the way to about right there. And there are times, like this last holiday weekend, that was full. I was absolutely full there. So, oh yeah, this is in the summer. You can see the weed bed. See all the weeds? That's neat. So anyway, the red house, good fishing here. This is where you want to be most of the summer. If you come here in the winter, it's pretty good too, but this is where you'll pretty much have to fish in the summer if you're on shore. It's one of the few places that you can get to that's actually pretty deep. So fish along right in here. It's usually really good. Gets kind of weedy as you go this way. So if it's in the summer and it's weedy, don't fish here. You will not do too well. Very weedy. If you get over here, the weed beds are there, but they're a lot deeper, so you can get the fish in or even catch fish. So this pool here can be good. It just depends. The currents come around the corner, and sometimes the fish can stack up in there. And then this is real steep in here, and when the water's down like it is now, you can get in there. But when the water's up, it's bad. I mean, it's real hard to get around in there. So don't count on that being available. But if you get here early enough, you can get a good spot right along in here, and pretty much anywhere in here. Most of early spring and winter, it's all open. So along here and along the North Shore, you'll find that there will be times where people will post reports along this area. We're going to go back to terrain, since it'll load a little faster so you're not waiting around forever. So back to the lake here. So along the lake, we're gonna stick to this. So you see this natural terrain. You see how it's like real steep here? Well, that follows out into the lake right along this side of the shore. So along this North Shore, I highly recommend looking at the natural terrain. You see how this spits out? It's shallow along there, but right along in these areas here where the road's real tight, this is a good area to fish. Same with right in here is probably okay, and then of course Windy Point. Now in my video that you're going to see probably the next day or so, Windy Point has filled in with sand now. There used to be a really good deep channel that was out in here. It's all full of sand because the water level's down. So that's all gone. That whole action there is not fishable. But this is Windy Point. This is the famous Windy Point area. You can see this blue house on the point here. This is where you go. You can park along here. You'll see some cars there parked. And then this is a big blue house that's always for rent. And then you can park there and walk along here. Now you see here, the water was really high along here when they took that photo. There's literally a dock out of this people's house. Now that is definitely not the case now. You can fish right here, and you'll be standing on dirt where the end of this dock is. So, but yeah, this channel's gone. All this is full of sand, so that sucks. But that is the famous Windy Point spot, and of course all this is above water now. This is all dirt, all of that. So let's move on, and we'll get you down to the next spot. Alright, so as I said, right now currently all this is dry. The next spot you'll have is along this North Shore here. Now it's very shallow, guys, around this North Shore. It's pretty much a waste of time along this section between the Discovery Center and Fawnskin. So avoid this. When the water level's up, maybe in the winter time it'll be pretty good, but right now it's terrible. So here you go. Here is Juniper Point. This is a great place to fish in the winter time. So you park up on the street because this parking lot is closed in the winter, and then you can fish from about this point all the way down to about right here. Anywhere in here is good. I'm not going to give away too many secrets about this spot, but if you fish it enough, you'll figure out what's going on here. But this is a great place to fish for the public. You do need a Forest Adventure Pass if you're going to park in this spot right in there, when it's open. Now right here, where you can kind of make it out right there, there's a cliff. So if you have hiking issues or you can't walk too well, that might be a tough thing for you. But if you walk all the way down, I'll flip it over to satellite, you can walk from the parking lot down this trail and take it down to here, then walk the shoreline, you'll be okay. So see, you can see the weeds right here in the summertime. So not a good place to fish in the summertime, by the way, guys. Real shallow and stuff like that. But you can see the deeper channel. See one right there, and then all along in here too is pretty good. So that's that. So there's Juniper Point, and that's pretty good. And then let's flip that off. We'll go back to terrain. Oops, I was on terrain. So last but not least is the public ramp and the Stansfield's cutoff. Now surprisingly, the public ramp doesn't show up on that, but it is there. So let me show you. Alright, so there's the public boat ramp. Alright, this is great access, guys. Winter, summer, doesn't matter. You can park all along here in the winter when they close it, and then all along in here when they open it. Save the good spots for the boats. You'll see where they park. But you can fish from, and this spot is really good in the winter. This is when you want to fish this area, is in the winter time. I highly recommend fishing from about right here all the way down to the cutoff, but focusing on this area in here. Pretty good spot. In the summer, waste of time. There are no trout down here in the summertime. The water is just too warm and there's no oxygen in it. And the fish will be, of course, down at the dam. So that's that. So last but not least, the South Shore. Now currently, the South Shore is quite accessible. It's one of those rare times when the water is really low. So you can pretty much walk along the South Shore, and if you know the terrain of the shore, then you'll know the deeper side, is to the west. So that's what that is. So let me give you a perspective here on this lake. They do sell a map of the lake. It's called a bathymetric map, and it shows all the depths, but it's not quite accurate anymore because of the lake level adjustments and silt that has filled up the bottom. But historically, this is a huge meadow. That's all it was. It wasn't a lake at all. It was just a meadow, and a lot of people think Big Bear is this really deep, mysterious lake. It's really not. It's probably only in the 15-foot range out here, and then maybe into the 20s in here, and then 30s, 40s, 50s, and then 60s right in this channel to the dam, and then maybe like some 30s and 40s in here and whatnot. So, but if you know the shoreline here and you get it, that one map, I highly recommend you do get it, because it'll help, and you might be able to pick off. But this whole South Shore is pretty accessible right now, guys. So you can walk it. If you're in for a little hike, bring your dog and walk along the South Shore right now and just cast some lures in front of these big homes, and it's totally fishable. So that's that. So that pretty much wraps up where to fish, guys. So to wrap it up, you have the dam, the Red House Point right there, Windy Point, and then the North Shore, and then some North Shore right in here, and then of course the East Ramp, and then the dike here, and then the South Shore. So that's pretty much it. One last little tip, besides where, is to focus on when. Just an easy way to put that. We'll talk about that later on the how to fish Big Bear, but just a nutshell version of that is, in the winter you want to fish the east side, east and north, and then in the summer you want to fish the west side. So if you're just looking for a quick tip there, go for it. And then that's about it. So hopefully you learned a little bit. That is where to fish the shore in Big Bear Lake. Boat fishing is a different story. A lot more to explain there. Maybe one day we'll cover it, but right now we're just going to talk about this for the shore guys. So if you're looking for some shore spots to fish it, that is where you go, guys. All right, we'll see you on the next adventure. Stay tuned for the video on our last trip to Juniper Point, which is right there. So if you were interested in seeing how that went, stay tuned. We'll show you that soon. Alright guys, see you later.